Hey y'all, Teanna Branae here and welcome back to my channel. So today's video, I decided we're going to do a here's what I think video. And it's going to be based on just my thoughts of the 3 Disney Marvel shows we have gotten so far, including WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then currently, of course, Loki has 1 more episode left, so that's in this as well. If you guys hear a weird noise in my background, I'm sorry. The landscaping people of our apartment complex are here, and I keep waiting, and then they're not stopping, so I'm gonna go ahead and record their video. Anyways, so let me preface my statement. We're gonna start with Loki because it's on air right now. I was super excited for Loki. If you know me personally, you know Loki is my favorite villain in MCU. I don't care about the villains with a conscience and they have a reason for why they did whatever they did. That's not my vibe. I don't really care. I just like Loki's character in all of the movies. I'm not a huge fan of comic books, so I don't know much about Loki in terms of like the comic books. I don't know much about any of these people or comic book characters. In terms of the comic books, anything I know about comic books is because I have watched the origin story video on YouTube, I've read an origin story somewhere on the internet, or I've asked my dad, because my dad is really into comic books, or was when he was younger at least. But yeah, I've never been like a super huge fan of the villain with a conscience type villains, but Loki is my overall favorite MCU villain, even though he's not so much of a villain present day dead Loki. He's my favorite villain. So in terms of his show, I was super excited for his show because he's my favorite my favorite MCU character. So I was super excited and I was anticipating and waiting. I'm like, oh my god, I wish his show was first. I can't wait till we finally get his show. I was super duper duper excited. And then the show came. And it's not Tom Hiddleston. I actually like Tom Hiddleston. He's a perfect Loki for the movies, at least. Like I said, I don't know much about comic books, but in the movies he's great. It's Loki. I am not a fan of Sylvie. I feel like they should have picked somebody else, because just in terms of the cast, I feel like they could have picked a bigger name than her. I can't think of what her name is. Like, we know who Owen Wilson is, and I know who Google Mbatha-Raw. I hope I pronounced her last name right. I know who she is because I've seen like shows and movies with her. She actually plays in one of my favorite movies, which is Beyond the Lights. I absolutely love that movie. You've got to be kidding me. Anyways, so I was super duper excited for the show, and when I saw Google was in, I was like, oh cool, I love her, it's gonna be great. Owen Wilson, cool. I like a couple of his movies, it's gonna be great. But the fact that we only see bits and pieces of Owen and Gugu, it kind of killed my excitement for the show having them in it. Like, I love the scene that they're in, but I feel like this is essentially Sylvie's show and Loki's leading because that's who we know, if that makes sense. Like, when I first saw that they were giving Loki a show, I thought we would go more into his more into his backstory, and I thought we would learn more about Loki, aside from him being an adopted frost giant, and aside from him being Thor's brother, like aside from what we learned from the Thor movies, essentially, I thought we would get something else, like maybe more about how he grew up, more like something. I thought we would get something else. And then when the show came, I feel like every episode gives us more of a backstory about Sylvie. And I'm not trying to be mean, because I get that the show focuses on different variants of Loki. Cool. But I don't care And the show has lost me. I'm watching the show because I love Loki and I want to see where it goes. So I'm going to still tune in next week for whenever this video goes up. Episode 5 has gone off. So whenever this video goes up, I'm still going to watch episode 6. So that's not what I'm saying. But I just feel like I'm not excited for the show. Like, I'm not looking for it every week. Like, oh my god, I gotta go watch. Oh my god, like, I'm watching it because I love Loki. So I'm still like excited to see Tom Hiddleston as Loki. But I feel like his Loki-esque is not even displayed in the show. And I can't even say it's because he's still on his path to being good. Because even, for example, in Ragnarok, when him and Thor worked together, he was still Loki. Like, even when they were working together, but besides the fact that he still betrayed him, once we got into the movie and they started working together in Ragnarok, he was still Loki-esque, if that makes sense. Here, it's like Tom Hiddleston in a shirt and tie, running around. Sometimes magic is popping off, but that's about it. And then we learn all this stuff about Sylvie. And I don't care about Sylvie. I was hoping that, okay, we knew he had to go hunt down a variant. We knew we had to learn something about the variant, but I don't need to know all this stuff about Sylvie. And it's kind of disappointing because I'm not excited for the episodes anymore. And I haven't been for a while. Like, I think I was excited for the first 2 episodes because the first episode, of course, it came. And I was like, oh, that's a cool first episode. But I wasn't feeling like, oh my god, it was amazing. And it's not because of Tom Hiddleston. Because he's Loki. This isn't his first time playing Loki. It's not a new role. So it's not that. I don't know what it is, but it's something about the show that's not making me interested in the show. And I think it's Sylvie. I think it's the person playing Sylvie. Like, I'm just kind of like... Or even when she's on the screen by herself, I'm waiting for Tom Hiddleston to come back on the screen. Or I'm waiting to see Google pop up on the screen. Or I'm waiting to see Owen Wilson pop up on the screen. I'm waiting for somebody to pop up, is my point. And I shouldn't feel like that. Like, I should be watching to just be watching the show. But I find myself watching because I'm waiting for somebody to come who I recognize. And I said, before the show came, oh, I wonder how they're going to do this. Because, I'm sorry, after the first episode, I said, oh, I wonder how they're going to do this. Because Loki is the only MCU person in his show that we know. Besides Sif, but that doesn't count. She popped up for 1 episode. Doesn't count. But consistently, that's all we know. So I was super excited when I saw that they brought in people that we knew. But then the second lead character of the show is somebody that everybody was looking at like, who is? And I watched reactions and reviews on other people's channels. And everybody was saying the same thing. Who's that? Who's that? Who's that? Who's that? I wonder why they picked her. I wonder why they picked her. And now people are saying they like her. But do you guys like her? Or do you just like the script? Because I don't like her. That's all for Loki. Alright, Falcon and the Winter Soldier is my second favorite. And I guess I'm doing this from worst to best. Falcon and the Winter Soldier is my second favorite. Not because it's bad, but because it's not different. And when I say that, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier is way better than Loki, I will say. But it comes off as, at least to me, as traditional Marvel. So if you've seen an Avengers movie, or you've seen a Captain America movie, so to speak, or you've seen whatever, you've seen a movie, then you've seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And after WandaVision, that was a bit of a letdown to me. Because I saw WandaVision, and I was like, oh my god, these shows are about to be amazing. So I was waiting, when Falcon and the Winter Soldier came, I was waiting for them to give us something. And they didn't. It was just typical Marvel Avengers type movie, but a TV show. That's all I got from it. I did still like the show. It's way better than Loki, like I said. But it's not different from what Marvel usually does. It just comes off as a regular average Marvel show. I love Anthony Mackie. I was worried about that. When I first saw that he was getting a show, I said, ooh, can he carry? because I've never seen anything where Anthony Mackie, that I've seen, of course he's probably been the lead and stuff, but that I've never seen him play a lead role. So I was really happy for him, but I was nervous, like, can he carry? And I think he did an amazing job. He's come so far from the first movie most of us know him as, and that's Papa Doc at 8 Mile. So he's come so far from that. So it's good to see him, see his growth and see his career continue to blossom. So I'm always down for seeing black people on the up and uppins. So I was surprised that he did so great. Not because he's a bad actor, but because I've never seen him lead something, so I was nervous that it wasn't going to be good. But the show is actually really good. Like I said, it is typical Marvel. So if you're looking for something that's going to be like, oh my god, I wasn't expecting that. There are a few things, but for the most part, the overall storyline for me, it just came off as traditional Marvel plot. In terms of him being like Black Captain America, I do wish that they would have addressed it differently. And here's why I say that. We saw Sam being uncomfortable taking on the mantle. We saw Isaiah being uncomfortable with Sam taking on the mantle. We saw Carly being uncomfortable with Sam taking on the mantle, or having a difference of opinion about it at least. And here's my thing with that. The only people that they showed in the movie, why do I keep calling it a movie? The only people that they showed, and Disney showed, or Marvel showed in Falcon and the Winter Soldier being uncomfortable with Anthony Mackie taking on the mantle of Captain America were minorities. And yeah, as a black man being Captain America, if in this world, you will have black people like, I wouldn't do that if I was you. Let them figure it out on it. Like, I get that. But let's be honest, the most people who would have a problem with that are white people. So I do wish that Disney or Marvel, whatever you want to call it, Marvel, let's say Marvel. I do wish Marvel would have crossed that barrier and had that, as opposed to Sam giving that speech, I can feel you, I can feel it, I can see it, you guys staring at me. Instead of it being that, I wish we would have had, I don't know, even a news segment or something pop up of, why did this guy, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it made it look like a bunch of minorities were complaining about something that nobody else was complaining about. And that I did not like. The show itself I thought was really, really good. Anthony Mackie did really, really good. Sebastian did really, really good. I can't think of his last name. Is it Stan? He did really, really well. I do have my gripes with the Winter Soldier's character in general. But he's 100-something years old in a world with nobody who's alive still from where he came from. So I guess you can kind of give him a little sympathy for that. But back to what I was saying, I wish that they would have had someone other than a minority pointing out, oh, you fell for that? Oh, you this what you doing? Like, we needed to see the racism that we know he probably is experiencing for that. And I don't feel like we saw it. And Carly doesn't count, and I'm saying Carly's a minority because, number one, she's a woman. So even if she's white or not, let's say she's non-black, because I don't know what she is. She's not black, but she's a woman, number one. And number two, she's displaced. So she's at the bottom of the, unfortunately, she's at the bottom of the totem pole. So if we would have seen the senators being like, no. Like, it's like the senators just was like, all right. He got the shield, I guess. Like, it was just kind of like, that wasn't authentic to me. So I do wish that we would have seen someone white, because that's what it would have been. And we can't pretend that only black people or only minorities would have been upset if he was Captain America. And that's the only people who had a comment about it in the show. If you're gonna do it, do it. And I do wish they would have at least put it in a news segment that they saw walking through the street. They saw something on the news at the bar or something to where something was said. And they didn't do that. So I was a little disappointed in that, but overall I did like the show. And then last but not least, WandaVision. WandaVision was freaking amazing. And I went into WandaVision not caring about these two characters. And I remember learning about the Scarlet Witch because she's one of the people whose origin stories I was heavily into when we met her in Age of Ultron. Simply because of Elizabeth Olsen. My sisters and I grew up watching the Ashley and Mary Kate videos when we were young. And I remember in the back of my mind them saying they had a little sister named Lizzie. And so I was like, oh my God, is that her? She looks like them. So of course when I found out who she was, I said, I have to figure out who she's playing. And so I did research. And I said, oh my God, she's really powerful. And then when we saw the movies, it was kind of like, and I had conversations with my dad about this. I always tell my dad, like, why do they seem like they're making her weaker than she is? And he was like, tell me about the comic books and how she is in the comic books. Like I said, I don't read comic books. My dad used to read comic books, and he had a whole collection of comic books that he keeps saying that he's going to give to my son when he's older. But it's just like, I told my dad, I said, it seems like that she's not as strong as she is in the movies, the way they present her to be in the comics. And so we had a whole conversation about it. And he explained to me, yeah, they did kind of dumb down her powers and yada, 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 yada. So when I found out she was getting a show, I was super excited as well, because I'm like, oh my God, maybe now we'll get to see like her full potential, and get to see her be bomb, basically. So that was cool. I was shocked that they made her a villain. I was like, oh my gosh, she's a villain? Because essentially she's a villain. But I was the most excited for this show after the first episode. This was the show that I was the most excited for. Loki, I knew I was not going to care for after the first episode, but I'm powering through because I love Tom Hiddleston Loki. Like, I love him as Loki. I think he does an amazing job as Loki, so I'm powering through, but I hate the show. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, after I saw the first episode, I said, oh, so it's going to be like typical Marvel. I will say, Wyatt, perfect. Wyatt, freaking perfect. Wyatt did an amazing job. Anthony Mackie did an amazing job. Yeah, Wyatt Russell, Anthony Mackie, I want to say Sebastian's last name is Stan. All of them did. All three of them. They did a great job in the show. It's not them. It's just the fact that it's typical Marvel. So if you want something different, you're not going to get it. The characters are a little bit more flushed out because you have time to focus on them now, and it's not 10 different superheroes you got to get to in 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So their characters in that movie are a little bit more fleshed out, but other than that, it's the same thing you're going to see in a movie, Avengers movie. But yeah, back to WandaVision. I was super excited for the show. I didn't really care for Vision's character, and that's another character that they made super weak. And I said this in Infinity War, like, they just make him seem so weak. So it made me not be excited for him. But I like the show. I love Catherine. I can't think of her last name. Is it Han? What's her last name? I don't know nobody's last name, but y'all know who Catherine is. Because I love her in the movies that she plays in. The Quicksilver that they had is my favorite person from the X-Men movies. So I was happy to see him. Teanna did amazing. And I'm going to always big up another Teanna. But no, I think Teanna, what's her last name? Ferris. We're going to go with Ferris. She did amazing. So I think the show was amazing. The storyline was amazing. It was one of those shows where you were hoping or expecting something to happen and it didn't happen. And then when whatever happened instead happened, you were still like, oh my God, that's amazing. And it was the one show that had stuff in it that you did not expect. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you expected everything that was coming for the most part. You expected what the outcome was to be the outcome. Loki, you're not even expecting no more because you over the show. So whatever happens is what happens at this point. But WandaVision, it had me from the first episode. And I know a lot of people saw the first episode and they're like, I ain't feeling this black and white vibe. I don't know what's going on with this. I was like, it's not gonna stay like this the whole show. This is just like episode 1, episode 2, and they're gonna flip it for us. And I was super duper excited with that show. Every week I was talking about it to my husband. He didn't care. But I was talking about it to my husband. I stayed up every night to watch it. I stay up every night to watch all of the shows though, because that's just me. Because it comes on midnight with Pacific time, but where I am, that's 3 a.m. So I stay up sometimes till 3 a.m. to watch the show, be tired in the morning. Only getting 3 hours of sleep. That's okay. So I was super duper into WandaVision. Drink every time I say super duper. But no, I was really into WandaVision. It was my favorite out of the three. Loki's finale is next week, or this coming episode, I'm gonna say, because I don't know when this is going up. So this coming episode is gonna be the Loki finale. I'll watch it. I'm not excited. I'm interested to see who the Wizard of Oz, the Oz is behind the Wizard of Oz of it all. But I'm not excited. Like, I don't think. If it is Tick, I can't think of his real name. What's his real name? Jonathan. Can't think of his last name. You know, I never remember people's last name. If it's him, cool. Shout out to you. Lovecraft Country. Only watched the first couple of episodes because it gave me nightmares. So shout out to you if it's you. That's going to be the big bad behind it. But I don't care. Unfortunately, I don't care. But yeah, WandaVision was my favorite. WandaVision, I think it's the best out of the three. WandaVision is the show that I'm still today sitting like, okay, but where are the twins? Okay, so how long is Agatha gonna be trapped there, or is she gonna get out of that town or out of that mindset? Okay, so what's she doing at the end? Is she trying to get her kids back? Like, okay, she's reading the dark. What is it called? The dark code. Where's she going with this? Like, that's the only show so far that I'm still wondering. Like, I still have questions. What's going on? I still have questions. Is Vision coming back to life now? Because is the consciousness of Vision gonna combine with the body of Vision? Like, okay, is that where we going? That's the only show that has me doing that. After Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I was just like, oh, I wonder what movie he's gonna be Captain America in. Oh, I can't wait to see Wyatt as a U.S. agent. But that was it. That's expected though. I do like, out of all of the shows, well, except Loki. I don't know if Loki is doing it, but I do like how Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision have started introducing the Young Avengers to us. I think that's cool. Whether or not these will be like the guy from, I don't know his name, but the guy who plays the grandson in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I don't know if he will be the same person playing in the Young Avengers, but I don't think it's coincidental that they're introducing them to us now so we can recognize some faces. I think that's cool. But yeah, if I had to rank them, WandaVision is at number 1. Falcon and Winter Soldier is at number 2. And unfortunately, my favorite, Loki's at like the bottom of 3. So he's at like 3.9. Unfortunately. But I'm still going to watch the finale. Hope I like it. See who this villain is. Hopefully it's not a whole nother episode focused on Sylvie and what she's going through. But that is all. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will check you guys out in my next video.